What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is a story time video, but it's also going to be a bit of a sort of wait till I get out of lockdown sort of a thing as well. But we'll start with the story time. So many moons ago, half my lifetime ago, when you make the sudden realization that the story you're telling is literally from half your lifetime ago, really puts into perspective how fucking old you are. Anyway, when I turned 13, I got to spend a week up in sort of, they lived in Brisbane. It's up in Brisbane. Got to spend a week sort of just by myself with my aunt and uncle. It's just me and them. And like for my 13th birthday. The whole idea was that for that whole week, I basically got to choose. I got to choose sort of what we did on that day. With one of the days being that we went to SeaWorld on the Gold Coast, and we did one of the sort of wildlife experiences that they have there. Which, you know, it was very cool. I still fondly remember that, still fondly remember that trip. So amongst other things, my days included that day where I distinctly remember it was an overcast day. See, like, I remember that trip. And I had chosen to do polar bears. Because I just thought that of all the things they had on offer, that was, you know, the coolest one. You know, they had things like feeding penguins, which is, you know, like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I can go to, you know, certain islands and stuff in the south, like towards the southern end of Australia and out towards New Zealand and stuff, and feed penguins. Like, I can do that there. They had the swimming with sharks and stingrays, and I mean, it's on my bucket list to do that. But I want to do like the big deep sea cage one. I think that'd be a really cool experience. And they had swimming with dolphins, which I can go to Coffs Harbour after lockdown's over and do that. So, you know, polar bears was kind of like, they're native to the northern hemisphere. This is like my only chance to get close to a polar bear. Like, this is, so I seized that and I went with it. And it was really cool to have a polar bear's nose sticking through his little cage, about as far away from my chest as the camera currently is, like full extent of my hand, right? Like, I'm touching the phone with this part of my hand, full extension there. So yeah, that was an experience. And then we'd sort of spent the rest of the day, you know, like, so after that was sort of the morning, and it took up, you know, like an hour, 2 hours sort of thing. We then went and had lunch just up from what they call the Polar Bear Shores. There's a little sort of burg place within SeaWorld. Had lunch there, and then we spent the rest of the day this is how long ago it was. We went and we did the flume ride, which was in like a little medieval castle setting. It's really fun. And we went on the Bermuda Triangle, which was actually one of the first sort of like roller coaster type rides that I'd ever gone on, and that was actually my second time being on it. And it was shortly after that that it closed down, and I thought that it was one of the greatest rides. I really hope they eventually decide to bring it back, because I would love to go and revisit the Bermuda Triangle ride at SeaWorld. Oh, the nostalgia. Another one of the days, my aunt had to do some work, so it was just me and my uncle, and we decided that we were going to go out and watch a movie. And just to give you an idea of how old I was, that movie that we saw was Ratatouille. Yep. But we went like all out. Like we got, I think we ended up getting like gold class tickets. I got to have like, being only 13 at the time and having never been allowed this before, I was allowed to have the big popcorn. We got choc tops, and we had like a proper slushy. None of this McDonald's frozen Coke nonsense. Proper slushy. And that was a day. I remember we got to the car park to go in and sort of see what movies were on offer, because we hadn't looked ahead to plan a movie. We were like, we'll go and watch a movie. We got there, the car park was packed, and so my uncle had ridden the motorcycle up onto a little sort of curb, I guess, that was sort of in line with where the rest of the cars parked, between two poles, but it was only a little bit of cement there because there was like a staff only staircase sort of thing right next to it. So there wasn't any real way for a car to park there. So yeah, we ended up parking there, which was a lot of fun. And then yeah, went in and watched the movie. And what I just described to you as what we ate during the movie, that was my lunch for that day. Yeah, we were so full afterwards, it wasn't like, okay, well, now let's go get lunch. It was like, yeah, no, we can probably go home and like, we've had lunch. I also went to these waterfalls. I can't remember what they're called. I do have a little, maybe I should have grabbed that before making this video, but I do have a little folder, a little photo album. And yeah, we went to these waterfalls. I was inside a tree that could have easily fit like 4 of me inside this tree trunk. From memory, I was not as broad as I currently am. I was a rather skinny little kid, little weed of a teenager. But yeah, there's that. What were the other 2 days? There was a day where all of my aunts and uncles had come around and we had a game of backyard bocce and had like a little birthday party and stuff. And I can't remember what the final day was. But again, I do have actually, is it under my bed? Anyway, I have seen it recently. I don't know where I've seen it. Maybe it's out in the garage. It's too late to go back and get it from there. But yeah, no, so that was sort of a fun little thing that recently I've been sort of thinking about again, because I've got my nephew who turns 10 next year, and my 3 godsons. My eldest godson turns 4. Do I have... How old am I again? I have 4 godsons. Anyway, time's really gotten on, hasn't it? Anyway, the eldest of which turns 6 next year. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, by the time my nephew turns 13, they'll be 9. So then it'll be an equal distance again until they're 13. And I've also sort of been putting that into perspective of, you know, if I get into afters next year, which I'm hoping against all hope happens, it's only going to be monumentally positive for my mental health. Even with all of the stresses associated with trying to get in, it's going to be so good for my mental health if I can get in and move. But that's not what we're here to discuss. But putting it in perspective of that is there are 3 years for the course. And so off my nephew's age, that means he'd be turning 10 in my first year, 11 my second, 12 in my third and final, which means that the year after is when he'd be turning 13. And so I want to sort of do for him what my aunt and uncle did for myself and for my brother and my sister when we all turned 13, and sort of make it a bit of a family tradition sort of a thing, because I think that'd be really cool. Only I wouldn't be able to do like the Gold Coast stuff. I'd have to fit mine to being in Sydney, where I would be living. But it has also made me think of the next time I go to the Gold Coast, and I do plan on going as soon as all of the restrictions between me and there allowing me to. What rides do I really want to go and ride? And so I've got a big old list of the 4 parks up there. Sorry, I've seen maybe I'm imagining things. Anyway, oh, I know what I'm thinking of. But yeah, no, so I've got a little list here of all of the rides that are either coming at the end of this year, and pretty much all 4 parks are building, no, not pretty much, exactly, all 4 parks are building new rides. So there's, come next year, there's going to be a lot of new stuff to go and enjoy. And we're obviously hoping that means that come December, January, February, you know, the next summer holidays in Australia, they'll actually be able to go and ride these rides. So starting at SeaWorld, just to keep it on brand, for the story, they've got an entirely new section opening up at SeaWorld called New Atlantis, which will have 3 new rides. The first one's called Vortex, and it's already open. It's essentially you sit in like a row, and that row rotates up and around, but it also itself spins. And if it's anything like what the Wipeout used to be at Dreamworld, it'll get to a point where the two side bits that rotate together will start spinning in opposite directions, and yeah, giving you this real fun ride. But like I said, the thing itself also rotates, which is a whole heap of fun. Looking forward to smashing that out. There's also the Leviathan roller coaster, which is coming, which I'm super keen for. I used to be a nervous little kid, and heights and, you know, all that sort of stuff used to terrify me. And then I rode the Cyclone at Dreamworld. RIP to the Cyclone, you the real one. And now I just want to ride all of the roller coasters, like all of them. So yeah, keen as for the Leviathan. And then the last one is the Trident, which is massive, big sky swing thing. So like spins around and you're in like a little swing, but it 42 meters, I think it said, above sea level is how high it lifts you. So it's the 42 meters, 42 meters. So it's up there. And then the only other two rides at SeaWorld I've already ridden are the Storm and Jet Rescue. Jet Rescue is a roller coaster that's themed around SeaWorld's whole marine conservation thing. And the Storm is, it's kind of got a little bit of a story. It's kind of themed on their animal rescue stuff. Basically, like, you're in a boat that gets caught up in a storm while out on a marine conservation mission. But it's also like a max level thrill ride at the same time. It's really cool. If you haven't ridden it and you are able to, go and do so. But then if we're looking at, if I were able to go there with my nephew or my godsons, like I said, there's the Wildlife Adventures, which obviously I would do. But if I'm in Sydney, that's going to be a Sydney Aquarium / Taronga Park, like Taronga Zoo sort of thing instead. And their kids zone is Nickelodeon themed, which is actually really cool. Movie World as a whole, all of its thrill rides, and when I say all of its thrill rides, I mean every last one of their thrill rides is themed around DC Comics characters. Not necessarily any DCEU film. And now that I look at it, overwhelmingly based on male characters. They should probably fix that. But there's the Rivals Hypercoaster, which I haven't been on yet. It's got a big old Joker's face at the top of it. It is the tallest, the longest and the fastest ride that Movie World currently has, and you can go on it backwards. I believe it reaches speeds of close to 100 kilometers an hour. So I'm keen. Let's do it. Strap me in backwards. Let's go. The Green Lantern coaster, which I have been on, it's a lot of fun. I thought they were going to be taking it down for a while there, and then they took down the Arkham Asylum instead. I would have loved to go back on the Arkham Asylum. It's awesome as well. It was one of the ones that sort of, instead of having the rail below you, you have it above you and you're sort of suspended. It was a really good ride. And I'm sad to see it go. There's the Superman Escape, which used to hold the title for tallest and fastest ride that they had until Rivals came along and snatched that wig. The Batwing Space Shot, which, as I mentioned before, I used to be scared of heights. The idea of getting on a thing that's only direction is up and down, wasn't a fan of. And then there's the Doomsday Destroyer, which has been built or is being built since I was last there. The other two rides that are good there are the Wild West Falls and the Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster. Their Kids Zone is a Looney Tunes themed one, or at least it was the last time I was there. And they've also got the Promenade that has like their street shows and stuff, where you can, you know, meet the Joker or Harley Quinn or Batman or, you know, the gang from the Mystery Machine or whatever. Wet n Wild doesn't actually have an official name for its new little precinct thing, but there are 3 new rides and a splash zone they're going to be releasing at the end of the year. The 3 rides are called Kaboom, Super Ripper and Double Barrel, and they all look incredible. The Kaboom sort of starts off with a little bit of a dip, you come up and then you end up in this big sort of spiral downwards. It looks really cool. The Super Ripper, I believe it's the Super Ripper, is a 12-meter high what do they call it? It's essentially one of the ones where you like sitting on a potato sack sort of thing. You know, like you've got like a little mat or something underneath you and you ride it down. I believe it's in the same sort of style as what Mach 5 used to be, but the Mach 5's been taken down. I never went on the Mach 5. Had the opportunity, but again, heights. Wasn't a fan. And then the Double Barrel is essentially one slide, like as far as like being in a tube sort of thing together. You go down and you follow the same path. There's 2 distinct slides within it, and you can essentially just like race your friend down the slide, see who's quickest down it. Yeah, a lot of fun. The other ones that Wet n Wild have, and most of these, all of these, are water slides as well. But there's the Tornado, which is a big, I believe it's the big funnel one. It's quite fun. Aqualoop is the one where you stand on a little platform and the man pushes the button and you fall down like Yzma when Kronk pulls the wrong lever, and you end up doing a big old loop out sideways. It's a lot of fun. And then there's the Constrictor, the Black Hole, the Kamikaze, the Surf Rider, and the Sky Coaster. Those last, I think, 3 are not water slides. Kamikaze might be, I'm not entirely sure. But the Black Hole is a tube slide pretty much the entire way. It is a black tube. Once you get in there, it is dark AF, and I haven't gone on it because I used to be a little bit claustrophobic and a little bit nyctophobic. So yeah, we've come a long way in the last 13 years as far as conquering our fears are concerned. And that brings us to the last one here. They have a bunch of little different kid zones without any real theming, and there's no like street shows or wildlife interaction there. Dreamworld is currently building the steel taipan, which is taking the place of where the cyclone used to be. Unless that was where they put... I was reading up on it a little while back. That might have been where they put Waterworld. One way or the other, they're building a new roller coaster there, which is probably a smart idea. And I think a couple of the other rides and areas are being rebranded and redone up, and certain rides are being taken out because of reasons. But the steel taipan, I'm keen, I'm ready to go. It looks really good. It's a triple launch system based on the Blue Fire coaster. Its little gondolas swivel as well. It's going to be a hell of a ride, and I am here for it. The other ones that they have include the Buzzsaw, the Gold Coaster, which I think is a pretty good pun considering they're on the Gold Coast. They made it work. There's the Tailspin, the Claw, the Giant Drop. The Tower of Terror is no longer. Sad days. There's also a motor coaster where you're like riding a motorbike. It's pretty cool. And then, to my surprise, there's a max thrill level roller coaster in the kids section. It is a DreamWorks kids zone for Dreamworld. Kind of makes a little bit of sense. And it is the Pandemonium for Kung Fu Panda, which is pretty cool. The next tier down, like the moderate thrill level, is an Escape from Madagascar roller coaster. And then pretty much all the Shrek stuff they have there is mild level, which suits me just fine. I'd be going there for the moderate and above. And I'm not really a Shrek fan anyway, so... but yeah, they also have Tiger Island, and I think they call it the Corroboree, which is like, you can go and hug a koala. But I can do that at the Port Macquarie Zoo, so Tiger Island would be what I'd be going for there. But yeah, that's... yeah. This, I know this video is kind of a bit of a mixed bag, but that's what you get when we're locked down until the 28th. So most of my videos are going to be sort of whatever I can manage at the time. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I've got for this video. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. If you liked this one, give it a big old thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section below what's your favourite roller coaster or amusement park ride. And yeah, until next time guys, keep your head screwed on.